What's up, everybody? Episode 26 here. We got our friend, Miss Angelica Jackson from Atlas Premier Health.
Yep.
Right?
Good to see you guys again.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
This is a fresh off of probably a week past, if you've seen Kiki's post.
No, it was this week. It was posted this week.
This is airing next week. Come on,
okay.
man. You got to stick with the program
Sorry.
here. So this is about a week past of her putting her story out there for her transformation from doing, I can't say the word of what she was taking, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Angelica is her doctor for that, and so we figured we'd have you in to talk about all things that, because it seems like a lot of that has been, it had a ton of positive, a lot of people asking, here, we'll get that up.
Oh, sorry.
A lot of people were asking questions in far as where and how and what, and I know you were busy DMing a lot of people.
Yes. And it was hard because it's like you want to do the voice recording for the post.
Yes.
It doesn't allow you to.
Right.
So I had to type in, please DM. Because that's like, then you can actually talk into it instead of typing all
Right.
of that. I mean, there's so much to go over.
Yes.
But that was great. No, there was a lot of positive response. And it was
I know. I
great
was
to
pretty shocked
educate.
too, because I was like, I'm going to, I was willing to post and get my story out there to show people what I've done, like even though I'm active and stuff, I still need another little push,
And that's what's great about it, because so there's different options. Sorry.
Yeah, so I can hear you.
So you can hear you.
So there's so many different options, because if you have medical coverage, your insurance can cover it. So that's one option. A lot of, the big oil and gas here cover it. We have USAA. We did see that Houston ISD covered. We had a meeting today.
Really?
So, and that's huge, because a lot of other school districts aren't covering it. So that was big that we learned today. TRICARE, there's, all the Valero, all the big ones, NASA. So, and you have to meet certain criteria when the insurance is going to cover. So if your BMI is 27 and over, with comorbidities, so that means any other kind of problems like high cholesterol, hypertension, sleep apnea, then the insurance will cover it. And some are being very picky and they want it over 30. And some are being extra picky and they want it over 33. So you can just do the BMI calculator and see. You can also call your insurance and just see if they cover the weight loss injection. That way you know exactly which one. And then our office takes care of the prior authorization, sends everything in. We just send it to a retail pharmacy. But if you're diabetic, we can send you Mounjaro, which is the better one, which is also tirzepatide. That's the one that
tirzepatide. So
That's what
that's
tirzepatide.
So I told Crystal early on when she first did it, I'm like, hey, you don't need to lie when people ask you about what you've been doing. And she fought with that at first.
I did fight with it at first, because I was like, nobody needs to know my business.
But
I know.
that's a big transformation in a short amount of time.
Right.
So you can't just say, oh, I've been working out, eating better.
And like you said, everybody's different though. So everybody works at a different pace. I think what pushed me a little bit more, why I lost quicker, maybe was because I work out harder,
Well, it's not so much even that. It's about, it's like I said, but the key factor was taking that and getting that out there, and you've seen the response. People want to know and see
how well it worked,
and they'd rather see people being authentic online,
right?
Instead of you just saying, "Oh, I've been working out and eating better." No, it doesn't happen that quick. That's a long game. Her problem was she didn't have any willpower to really set herself up.
This is going off.
You good? Set herself up to do the things to really do it herself.
Yeah.
Right.
So for her, she needed this extra bit to kind of get her going. And like you said, you talked about kind of like retrained your mind and your body of
which you can
how to
cannot
eat.
Yeah.
And how to cut out certain things, because if not, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's really hard. Well, and all the preservatives, everything that's in our food nowadays, it just makes it so much harder. And then it's so much genetic too. You're at they put on really great conferences and things where you can learn about it, but looking at the studies and the data behind it too, 40 to 80% of it is genetic as well. It's just, you're doing all the right things, however you don't see the results. So adding this on helps, and it gives you a little more energy. So I always tell people, you don't feel like working out at first, that's okay. You get the energy, and then you start to get out there, and then you're motivated,
So
Right.
it's funny, 2 weeks before she started this, I just cut out all simplex carbs and sugar. And I've lost 12 pounds.
Nice.
Just from cutting out the BS.
Yeah.
Stopped eating bread,
Yes.
chips, tortillas, things like that. And and really it stopped me from eating a lot of sugar because that's carbs. So I was like, okay, I stopped eating all of that, and then I lost a lot of inflammation and body fat. Like I went from like 215. I think last time I weighed in, I was like 202.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And that was just from doing that. But like I said, that's not. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
Right.
it is.
And you could do the same thing and it doesn't work for you too. It just depends on what works for your body.
Especially females. It's like my husband went on we did juice fast together, and he lost, like 7-10 pounds, and I lost 1, and I was irritated and hungry, and I was like, okay, we're not doing this. Everyone's just responds so differently to it.
Yeah. And it's crazy though. I mean, like, we've always been like super like in the gym working out, and it's just crazy. Like, I couldn't have made these changes myself. I've had people ask me like, why couldn't you just made like better habits of like, I don't know, like
it's all food.
Eating right. I know, yeah, it's all food, but I just too stubborn, so I took the easy way out. So hopefully I'll still continue to, because I don't want to
say hopefully.
Yeah, because I
You
will
will.
because I don't want to put that back on. When I look at and people, let me know that picture I posted, the before and after, that was my nose, that was my face,
Oh, God,
that was
I
me.
know.
It was all that inflammation. People were like, "That's not her. That's not a real picture." Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Or there was
me.
a filter to
Right,
make
or
you
there's
look
a
like
filter.
that. It's like,
No.
why would you do that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you're not in the business to
And it's
dupe
not
people.
And it's not like my body looked bad. It's just like I wasn't happy. Everybody has different insecurities. Like, not saying that I was big, but I wanted to knock off a few pounds.
And how much have you lost so far?
20 total, and I can't lose any more.
No, because and that's the thing, too.
Right.
You want to be healthy.
So, and I feel good. I feel like, like you said, before you start taking this, everybody always asks, like, what are the side effects? Like, yes, I didn't have, like, a little less energy. I was nauseous. But once I started, like, getting it, I guess, like, in my body,
Yeah, but talk about your side effects first.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was throwing up.
She was sick.
I
She
was
had
sick.
and then she ate
I
some
couldn't
greasy
work
food.
out.
I'm like, dude, you gotta stop. Like
And
that's
And
I
it
just
tells you quick, right?
Yeah, it did. It cut, like, they had leftover fries from Cane's, and I maybe had like a handful. Well, like within an hour, it came right up.
Yeah.
I was like, nope. So it trains you. Like, I can't even. I don't even eat fast food. I haven't.
lies.
You're quick. I have not eaten fast food.
You lying.
You're lying. Okay.
See, and that's what these medications do, especially tirzepatide specifically. It's a double receptor, so it's very effective. It'll turn off all that food chatter that you have, and it's going to reprogram your brain to think of food as fuel, is how, like back in the caveman, carnivore diet. Like, you eat because you need the energy, and it's always going to be high protein, but that's not our society. Our society is these giant portions. Everything is fried. It's all comfort food. There's these emotional attachments. We stress eat, we'll bored eat, and it just turns that off so that you can focus on just living your life and not having the food control your life or your emotions, And so that way, it does help to suppress your appetite, but I always tell patients, if it's suppressing it too much, you got to force yourself to eat. You still have to eat, because if you starve, you're in starvation mode. Your body's not going to lose. You have to be conscientious of eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because those are the patients that they're starving themselves and they're not on vitamins. They have poor nutrition. And, oh, my hair's falling out. I look, they look
Yeah, that was
sick.
one of
And
the things
you can't do that.
People
You
would
have
ask me,
to-
they're like, has your hair thinned out or fallen out? I'm like, nope, not at all.
Yeah, because you're doing it right. You're
Yeah.
on supplements, you're on vitamins. You are making sure that you're doing it in a healthy manner. And then you don't, you're going to throw up. And that's the thing. It'll give you that negative stimuli if it's not good for you. And then it's teaching you portion control, because it's going to slow down your gastric emptying rate. The food's going to sit there a little longer. Your stomach is only about, this big.
So,
if you
like,
overeat, you're going to throw up.
So, like, I have some friends that ask, and they're like, being that you did this, they're like, this can't be good for your gut, your stomach, for it to be however big to shrink. Not, I guess, smaller, but
It's not shrinking your stomach.
It's not shrinking, but you're not eating as much because it's curving your appetite. So,
Yeah, but if you're eating the right stuff, it's fine. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you're filling yourself with junk, that's not good.
No. And then I remember in school, this was mind-blowing to me when we were talking about how long food sits in your stomach and how it's processed. If you eat really good food, your body processes it quicker, and so you're hungry again. So you want to eat 6 small meals throughout the day, but then people will say, well, if I have a cheesy burger that's fried, I'm not hungry all day. Yes, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So because all that fat is taking so long to digest through your system. So it's not a good thing. You want to be hungry again. So that's another thing people, kind of struggle with. But with this medication, that's where it helps, so that you're kind of retraining your whole brain. And it's a lifestyle change.
Right.
If you don't continue that and you continue to eat the way you do, then yes, of course you're going to regain it all back.
Right.
But then that's where, it's a lot of patient education, because this is unlike any medication that's on the market. You have to titrate up. Like when you said, when you first started, you felt very nauseous, but that's acclimating to the medication. So you start on a very low dose.
Right.
Get used to it. Every 4 weeks, we slowly increase it, check in with you, see how you're doing, offer, like Zofran just to help get through it. And then you learn how to eat properly, and then it goes away.
So how is this different from the other ones that are out there, like semaglutide? What's the other one? Ozempic. Like why?
So there's so many, and it's easier. Like, I'm a visual person, so think of acetaminophen is the active ingredient, and the brand is Tylenol, right? So we'll start with the single receptor. So the single receptor is semaglutide. That is the active ingredient. So we do have generics for that, and then you have the medication indication. So it goes through FDA approval for each indication. One of the indications for semaglutide is Wegovy, and that's strictly for weight loss. Okay. So that way those patients get that. The other indication is Ozempic for diabetes. If you don't have diabetes, you shouldn't be getting that prescription, because you're taking it away from diabetic patients. That's why they came out with Wegovy.
And so that's when a lot of people don't know the information, because like just from my post, people that you're getting comments like that. Oh, you're taking away people that are diabetic. Okay, well, they're not taking the right one.
Yeah, and you're not even taking a brand. You're taking a generic, which is a compounded. So it's not affecting them at all, because that's a great point. And someone DM'd me asking that, and I don't mind answering that. It's like, no, she's not taking it. That's, and just education.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand. There's so many. I mean, that's 3 different names. You think those are 3 different medications, but it's all the same. And then that's a single receptor. So that one has a higher side effect profile. And it's a little variable. You just never know. So I like to be very transparent with patients. If they want to try that one just for cost, because it's a little cheaper, it's a higher side effect. It's a single receptor. If you have maybe 10 pounds, then it might be okay for you, or up to 20, but everyone's different. So some people will lose really quickly and do really well, and some people are super sick on it, and it just doesn't work for them. And then you have tirzepatide. That is a double receptor. So it's a GLP-1 receptor and a GIP. So it's just much more effective with a less side effect profile. And if you have more to lose too, it's by far just a better medication that I've seen with patients. It's easier tolerated, because people don't want to be sick at work either.
Right.
So that one does work a little bit differently than that. But very easy to manage, very easy, the injectable process, the brands will come in an actual pen, and there is a shortage because of the pen. So if people can't get that in stock, we do have like the monthly vials. We can send in on the generic if their insurance covers, but just to get through until they can get their prescription again. But that one comes in a preloaded pen. Yours, you draw it back up in a little syringe and inject it. And it's very specific. Those receptors in the arm are the best place. So if someone's on that medication already and you haven't tried the arm, inject it into the fat, into the arm. Don't do your stomach. Highest side effect profile, not as effective. Or you can do your thigh.
Yeah, I did in my inner thigh.
Yeah. You got to find what spot works for you.
Right, exactly. So I remember that one time I did it first in here, but I must have got something and I bruised.
Oh, you just hit a vein.
Yeah, just hit a vein. And I was like, nope, I'm going back in. But
you can still bruise something.
Yeah, I haven't.
But that's okay. That won't change it.
So what's the difference between so you keep saying there's dual receptors. So what does that actually mean? Like, so why is that better?
Because it's working on your body 2 different ways. Instead of just being a single receptor, the tirzepatide, that generic, so that one, I didn't go over those indications. That one, if you're diabetic, is only Mounjaro. So patients will call me, ask me, I want Mounjaro. Are you diabetic? Do you have labs to show that? Do we need you to, we have in-office lab draw. We'll draw them. Let's see. If not, we're not sending that in, because, again, you're going to take away from people who need it. And we do have a lot of patients who are diabetic. And there's some people who even come into the office, or they're seeing me on telehealth. We send them out for labs, and because they haven't had recent labs, that's something too. You need to screen for that, because we want to see what's going on. If it's your thyroid, if it's your low testosterone, if it's, diabetes. And so many people I've diagnosed with diabetes, they didn't even know they had it. So it's like, okay, let's do a lot of patient education. This is where we're at. We're going to send in Mounjaro. So that's the diabetic indication. The other indication is weight loss, and that one goes under the name Zepbound. So that one's newer, that came out with that indication. Before, it was just Mounjaro or Wegovy and Ozempic. So that's what you were on, but the brand name for weight loss.
Okay.
And that one, those are both in pens.
So a lot of it is, that's with anything. You need to go to somebody that's knowledgeable and going to treat you based on how you are. It's not just like a big box saying, hey, here's what you get, this is what you get. Like, you got to really do some, like from having you on the other podcast before talking about things, you go more in depth, I feel, to where like everybody's not the same.
Right, because I would have people ask me, like, what's the difference between, I'm like, there's a difference. But I'm not a doctor, but she just tells me that there's a difference. And isn't there peptides in this one?
So it has to. So with the compounds, you have to mix it with something.
Okay.
We do B6, which helps with the nausea. So you can. It can be mixed with certain things, just to help. But yes. But then even the compounds, like further, we only use 503 compounded pharmacies. Those are all regulated by the FDA. There's a strict process and things that they have to do in order to make these medications. So you see random things where people are ordering online, they don't see anyone, they've not looked at their labs, and then they'll receive something in the mail that they have to mix. I had someone reach out and they're like, oh, what did she have to mix? I was like, no, that's compounding. Where did you get that from? Absolutely not. This is a medication that should be prepared and given to you, and it should be from a 503 compound. So all those horror stories that you see, people are getting it. It's for animal testing. They're just ordering online. I've even had people bring in baggies. They're like, someone pre-filled this up, and someone gave it to me, and it's written with, what is it, like marker on the bag of what the medication and their dose is. I was like, oh, I wouldn't recommend that you use it because you don't know. It's a prescription. You have to have your actual prescription. And
so how long has this been around like this?
Oh, God.
I guess Ozempic's the first one, I guess, that came around, right?
GLP-1s have been around for a long time.
Okay.
So this isn't new. It's just newer for the weight loss indications that we're seeing. So now it's really blown up recently. But now people are actually sharing and talking about it, because before it was like backroom prescriptions. No one wants to talk about it. But then they were writing the old scripts for diabetes because that's all we had.
So, like, what are some of the benefits of being on tirzepatide? Like, you've told me stories, like, it's helped with some women, like, with fertility.
Oh, yeah.
Like, certain things.
So there's so many different things that it's helping with. They're in the process of getting new FDA approvals right now. They're doing all the testing. And so currently it is approved for, cardiac issues. Mm-hmm. That's a newer one. There's a weight loss and diabetes, but it's also reducing the risk of heart attack, stroke, dementia, any kind of substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, drugs, anything like that. It's kind of turning off those receptors and just making you a healthier person, getting everything leveled off. I've had patients who have anxiety, and their anxiety has improved. Autoimmune disease, I've seen psoriasis start to clear up because of that internal inflammation. Joint pain's huge. A lot of, psoriatic arthritis or arthritis in general. GI issues, that's gotten better. PCOS and endometriosis. Oh, wow. They are trying to get it approved for PCOS right now. So I do put a lot of patients on that just for that. And it's a lower dose. It's a little different. Mm-hmm. Unless they have the weight to lose, then, we're going to escalate slowly. But that really helps the bloating, the pain, the internal inflammation. And we've had a lot of people, get that down and then be able to conceive after, which is, it's a big thing, all that internal inflation. Mm-hmm. And so
inflammation is not good for your body at all. Any inflammation is not good for you.
Yeah.
But I think I probably had a little bit of that too,
The inflammation?
Yeah, inflammation for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely see it all go down, especially in that before and after in your jawline, girl. People are like, what does she do to her jawline? I know what she did.
Yeah, I went under and got that done.
Yeah. Like, drinking alcohol causes that too. Like,
right.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was telling her.
That'll make you puffy.
Yeah. And one thing, I would tell her things. I'm like, she didn't want to hear from me. Yeah. I'm like, I can know what you can do to help yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, So I think this was the best route for her. And, it's worked well.
And I'm happy with my results, and I'm going to continue pushing forward.
Good, yeah. And that's the thing. But you also have to work out. A lot of providers aren't going through all of that, and that's why I'll send them to my website. And then it's like, there's patient education. There's a workout app. That's the one I personally use. You got to put in the work, because anytime you have any kind of fat loss, you are going to have muscle wasting, regardless if you're on this medication or not. So you have to combat that and work out. And the best way of losing fat is actual weightlifting. Build those muscles.
Yeah, strength training.
So, I have some friends, I don't know which one they've won, but, like, there's some of them that, like, had to quit taking it because they're so sick. So let's just say if they were, like, on Ozempic and that was just too much for them, not sick, would you recommend something else.
Yeah, tirzepatide. But I would also you go back to basics. How much protein are you taking in? What's your water intake? You want to do 80 to 100 ounces of water daily.
Yeah.
Add electrolytes. And then your goal weight should be your goal of protein in grams. So if your goal is 120, do 120 grams of protein. But people aren't actually getting there. They think they are, and it's like, no, actually count your grams of protein and see what you're consuming. And a lot of the times it takes care of it. They're just not eating correctly.
Right.
Or they're taking in food that has no nutritional content and it's making them physically ill. A lot of it's that. And they're saying, oh, I eat really well. I eat chicken from Cane's. And I'm like, no. So that's why.
Yeah, I mean, all food's not created equal for sure.
No.
And like I said, in carbs and sugar, like those things make you overeat those things. So
and then you're addicted to it and you want more and more.
That's why I kind of stopped. When I did it, I was like, man, I'm just tired of feeling bloated. And then I noticed, like, I carry weight in my face and neck. And, like, I lost that pretty quick. That was a lot of inflammation. I know that for sure. But I was just cutting out the BS, It's just something that I was like, I'm going to try it. And it's pretty easy, It's been more like a paleo diet. A lot of protein. I'm getting carbs from, like, fruit and vegetables and honey. But I'm not eating, like, breads and pastas and
all that. Well, and now they have so much better options, like the Bonza. That stuff is great. But all that wheat, all that gluten is so inflammatory, even for patients with thyroid issues. They carry a lot of internal inflammation. You can even see it on their labs. So this medication is great for them as well.
So you did say, I mean, inherently, like you're saying, you lose fat, but you're going to lose muscle.
Correct.
So
you're always going to lose muscle anytime you lose weight. And then with this medication, you don't even want to look at the scale. I always tell patients, because you get discouraged, because if you're doing everything correctly, you're building muscle, you're gaining more muscle, and it's heavier than fat, but it's going to be fat loss. So you'll notice, before you notice the scale go down, did you notice, start shrinking and your clothes fit better?
Yes.
And you get rid of all that water weight.
Exactly. I was noticing that. Now I just kind of, lost my ass a little.
That little bit of fat.
And but everybody walks around. I can't stand. They're like, "Oh, you got that Ozempic ass," or I'm like, "No, it's tirzepatide." They're like, "It's the same thing." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's
a double receptor."
Yeah, so now I need to
you gotta
up on
memorize double receptor.
I'm like, I do not have Ozempic ass.
But like I said, that's why I wanted to
but it's fat, and you can still build your butt back. It's a huge muscle. Or come in, we'll hook you up to the M-Sculpt machine
and pump it up.
Yeah, I'm lazy.
We're going on beach vacation. I should have went and pumped it up so many times.
Tomorrow, I'll hook you up. But and that's what I do at work too. It's like it's hard to build the butt. I just have sad mom butt.
I just not saying that was thick, but I had some killer thighs and a butt, but I've definitely lost it, but I'll get it back, I haven't completely lost it, but I can tell my clothes do fit way different,
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. You can lose any weight, it's gonna
Yeah,
it doesn't. You not just you don't lose just fat.
But I want to lose and lean out, and so basically, I'm leaned,
Yeah, no, you look great. Like I said, it's worked wonders. I know one people always ask, what do you got? One people you always have to stay on it.
Oh yeah, that was
that's a good question.
That's one question. Is this something you have to stay on for the rest of your life, or is this something you just maintain, or how do you? What do you recommend?
So it just depends on what their medical history is, because of course you titrate every month, you increase it. And once you get to your goal, you do 8 weeks, 2 months at that same dose, just because that's going to reset your body. It's so important to do that, because some people get to their goal and they just get off of it cold turkey. You can't do that. You're going to gain it all back. So just as we titrate it up, you're going to titrate down, but you do those 2 months just to reset that body. And then you're going to slowly titrate off, and then you'll know how that is, because you'll do every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. Once you get to that 4-week mark, you can kind of sit back, take a look, and see how you feel. Because you just want to slowly get that appetite back, get your body kind of going back. But then if you have, PCOS, if you have a really bad emotional attachment to food, and it's just from childhood, some people will dose themselves a very low dose once a month. I have one patient, he does it every 2 weeks because he just has such a bad relationship with food. He's like, this is what works. I'm never going back. I feel so great. And this is what's working for me. So that's fantastic. And you can do that. PCOS, you're going to be on that long term. And of course, diabetics are on it long term. So it is safe, because a lot of people are like, well, is it safe to be on it that long?
I know.
There's so many side effects.
Or
and
they'll
risks.
say like, yeah, what does it look like in the long run, you know, to be on this if you're on it for the rest of your life, or if you just do it and you're not on it anymore.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
you're going to reduce your water weight, your water retention, your inflammation. You're going to decrease your risk of, diabetes, dementia, heart attack, and stroke. So it's really, really great. But not everyone can get on this medication either,
Right.
because I did have someone message me about, they hid so many things. They didn't tell everyone about the side effects, and now there's lawsuits because it slows down your GI. And I was like, no, we know that. We know that it slows down your gastric emptying rate. That's why you have an appointment with your provider and you screen them. What's your, you can get pancreatitis, you can get gallstones. If you already have a sledge and you're predispositioned to that, anytime you lose weight drastically or too quickly, that's going to happen. So you do need to do a medical screening and make sure that this patient is appropriate for that medication, because not all are. You know?
So what's the most weight loss you've had of a patient?
Oh man, probably over 100 pounds. So it's equivalent to like the gastric sling or bypass. It's amazing, but then not all the side effects. Like, you don't have to undergo anesthesia. That's terrifying.
And the recovery is probably.
So what do they do for like somebody who's 100 pounds?
Yeah.
Like loose skin. How do they handle?
Yeah.
Is there anything for that, or that's going to be depending on how much surgery? I mean, that's
it. Yeah, it all depends on their skin quality, what they're eating, supplement wise, collagen. How quickly they lost it, and that's why people, they'll have their appointment and it's like, oh, they've lost, 10 pounds. And they're like, it's not working. I'm like, it is. You don't want to lose that much. A pound a week is great. We want it slow, because then you're going to be left with all this excess skin. If it just depends. Like sometimes if it's a nice slow progression, then they do well and that elasticity is there. Yeah. If not, then, I refer them out to plastics. And you can get it cut off. So there's that option too. But think about it. How long did it take you to put on this weight? How quickly did you get it loose?
Decades,
like you stretch out the skin. That's gonna happen. So.
Yeah, I could see that. But like I said, hey, most people a lot of people want it makes you like for her, I feel like it is a big mental health thing too. You lose weight, you feel better. You feel better about yourself, how you look. That translates into a lot of things into your life. Yeah. So I know that's a big part for people. I mean, like I told you, I had that gyno surgery.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, that was a big thing that bugged me for years.
Because he would never take his shirt off.
It just bugged me, It's like, but I know since I had it, like how much more body positive I feel and things like that, to where before like that stuff would bugs you as a man. It's men don't talk about that stuff.
No.
Like I never talked to her about her until I was about to have the surgery.
Yeah.
Because that's just something I didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I can imagine that's a big part of people feel good about themselves. It feels they can love themselves again. If people didn't love themselves, how it is.
Exactly. And it helps with everything. It's like the mental clarity, everything, the energy. You just feel like a new person again, which is so great to hear. Because
there's people at the gym like, man, you're looking good, you're looking tiny. Now I'm proud, and now I'll say it.
Yeah.
And I just give them the information.
And it's always frustrating when people are like, oh, you're skinny. I'm like, no, I'm strong.
Yeah.
Like that's an insult
at
to
first
me.
When I did first, I did lose energy on how much I'm lifting, but I feel like now I'm gaining it back to
good.
Yeah,
because you look good, and that's the thing. It's like you need to feel comfortable in your own body.
Right.
There's no one else should be telling you where you're happy.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it changes as you get older. It's like I would feel comfortable at a heavier weight than when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I know one thing you mentioned about about the cardiovascular. Does that help with like A1C and things like that? Is that what's supposed to help with?
It brings down your A1C. So when your A1C is 6.5 or higher, then you're technically diabetic. Anything over 5.7 is pre-diabetic, but they won't cover it pre-diabetic. Mm-hmm. You have to actually hit that marker. But yes, it brings down everything, because the most dangerous fat is going to be your abdominal waist. If you do your circumference, that is really dangerous fat, because then it puts you at very high risk for heart attack, stroke, all the bad problems. Bringing that down, it just makes you healthier. You're going to live longer, better quality of life.
So that's what you catch that in blood work, though. We see the
hemoglobin A1C in there.
Okay.
Yep. And some people have not had it tested. I guess some people just don't get it ran, but we always want to see what that looks like. And if you haven't, or like, hormones too.
Yeah.
A lot of it could be your thyroid. I've had that. It's like you can see that your thyroid's running slow. So then I can prescribe something natural. I just like desiccated thyroid gland instead of putting something, synthetic like Synthroid. And it just increases your metabolism. You just don't want to put a Band-Aid on it without treating the underlying
How does
problem.
like the keto diet work with that, being that's high protein, high fat? How does that work with?
So you wouldn't want to do high fat with these medications.
Okay.
If it's good, healthy fat, you're fine, but you just got to be careful with that because you got to be careful with your gallbladder, especially when you're losing weight, But I always tell patients just lean protein. Stay away from anything greasy, high fat, just for this medication, and just see.
Yeah, because I know one time she ate some.
You made a burger.
No, I had some eggs that I cook. I have some. I use raw butter. I put in and that was early on, and she ate that.
And that set her off.
And it
did,
I was like, hey, I was like, but you gotta.
You don't know.
You gotta watch what you do. I mean,
you do.
You gotta. So how does alcohol affect?
So that's a great question. So it depends on what kind of alcohol, because if you're drinking beer, those are extremely filling, right? And it's slow.
Was that acidy or no?
It's just filling, So like your stomach is already slowed down. You drink a couple beers, you're gonna feel like it's up to here, and then you get the acid reflux. So that's where the acid reflux, because that lower esophageal sphincter is not covering. It's now lifting up and everything's coming back up. So you just can't overdrink because you're going to throw up. But then you're not eating as much as you're normally. So if you used to eat these large portions and you could hold your liquor, now you don't have those large portions, you become a bit of a lightweight.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the only difference. But you can still drink on it. You just got to be careful.
Yeah, I was curious to see what... I guess that goes back to everybody's different, what you don't know what's going to affect you till you try it.
Yeah. No, you don't. Yeah. There was a Astros World Series, and I had a patient that threw down a couple beers and threw it right up, and he was not drunk. And he was like, I just threw it up. Wasn't drunk. And it's like, yep, you got to remember, everything's slowed down. Mm-hmm. You can't throw them back like that anymore. There's nowhere for it to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So what percentage of your patients do you think has this really shifted your patients to more of this lately of the last year or two? Or
oh God, I mean, I feel like honestly everyone that comes through now is like, oh, I'm here for my Botox, I'm here for my fillers, and I don't have the energy anymore. We start talking and they're like, you're looking good. I'm starting to like lean out. I'm like, oh, my little baby muscles. I tell my husband, I'm like, are you proud of me? And they're like, oh, are you on that weight loss injection? I'm like, no, I'm not on that, but I'm on all of our supplements because it helps curb that. But I was like, but I do offer that. Mm-hmm. Let's have that discussion. You mentioned you're tired. Have you had your blood work done? Have you ever had your hormones checked? So it's just a natural progression kind of while they're there for all their other appointments. And then we draw their blood right there. We get the results. We'll send them off with their medication, have it shipped to their house. So now it's kind of everyone's on it. Everyone's on it now. But it's helping everyone to get so much healthier. Even, with my husband being a pilot, I was reading those reports. They're saving millions of dollars on fuel because everyone is getting lighter. Yeah. And Americans were so big, it's like you couldn't fit in the chairs, everything. Now it's easier to fly. So it's pretty interesting.
Well, I think that the stigma is still there, but it's going away, I feel like. And the more people that come out, like I told her, I was like, hey,
her.
Like, you seen how much positive came up and people had questions.
I know.
Yeah.
And questions of what the best thing you can have as a doctor because you want to educate them.
Give them the correct information because they're getting it from TikTok and they're showing them injecting into the stomach, and I'm like, don't do that.
Googling or something,
or they're showing them videos how to mix their, counterfeit wherever they got this stuff from medication. I'm like, no, what are you doing? So that's what it's like. If anyone has questions, if they're already on it and they're not even my patient, I don't mind. Like, they can go to my website, click on weight loss. There's a little button that says patient education. Click on it. It's everything I go over with my patients, talking about protein, adding creatine to your diet so you can maintain and build muscle, increasing your water intake, injection site, everything. So I just want them to have the best results, period. And then also, like, if they haven't gotten their labs checked, ask their primary, like, what do my hormones look like? What does my thyroid look like? And your B12, your vitamin D, that's huge. And so many people are so low on B12.
I've been low.
And vitamin D
and
too.
D2.
B12 does nothing for me, but I have been D12 so like on the low end for a long time.
Yeah.
So I take that supplement. But
yeah. And then we do have the supplements. So all our supplements that we have, they're all professional strength, and you can even get that on our website, and anyone can order from wherever. It doesn't matter because they're just professional strength, but they just put me as a provider, and they can go through, and on my website, there's a supplement page. It goes through everything, but all of them are very high quality. So you can click on the efficacy study that shows the facts on how these work, like the vitamin D with K2, because K2 is like the Uber driver for vitamin D. You want
K2,
that.
potassium?
No, vitamin K.
Yeah.
So it'll just help that vitamin D3 get processed a little bit better, and then you also take it at night. People are taking it in the morning.
Yeah, no, my doctor always told me, he's like, hey, take
vitamins at night.
Yeah, he goes, because you're taking your day, you're pissing stuff out mostly. He goes, it's better for night for absorption and things like that.
So that's another good point. So So you do take vitamin D at night, but a lot of the over-the-counter stuff, you do just pee it out because the 40% of the population has the MTHFR, or the motherfucker gene. And so it's just more fun to say that. So they have that predisposition, 40% of us, so we can actually methylate our vitamins. So that's where all of our supplements are all methylated already. They're all professional strength, so you can actually read the efficacy studies behind them so that you're not pissing out. Because you buy something at the grocery store or something, you don't know if it's doing anything, and there's so many times where I'll ask patients, you screen them, what medications are you on? Great. What are your supplements? Put that in there, and I'm like, oh, you're on a vitamin D, you're on a B12, great, let's take a look at this. We get their blood work back, and I'm like, okay, buy our stuff. And it's not ours, it's a company that's great,
it's vetted out.
Yeah, and then it's all efficacy studies. Like, you can actually see the reports on that. It's all methylated because a lot of people, you're just peeing it out anyway. And then you can actually see it, because I'm on all that, but like, I love seeing my B12 go up from a pill, because we do have the injections we can mail it to your house too, but I'm just lazy. I don't want to do an injection, so I'd rather just take a pill every day.
Take a pill, yeah.
So that helps. And then the vitamin D, we have the prescription dose to where it's a higher dose, and it's once weekly for 3 months. You do that when it's low, get it up there, and then you switch to nightly to maintain. So a lot of people aren't doing that either. So yeah, there's just a lot of patient education, a lot of support, or I give people my Instagram, like, message me night, weekend. I'm always there, because sometimes you forget to ask a question, But I like having that open communication.
Yeah, I'm sure you leave the doctor's office from seeing you, and you're like, oh, I should ask this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, you know how to get a hold of me.
I think whenever I was pregnant and stuff, I would write it down, the questions down, because like you said, you get there and you leave and you forget, know, but if you have it written down, like, I won't forget to ask these questions.
Yep.
So are most people that come in there, are most people getting it over the counter, but getting it through you without insurance, or you have a lot of insurance clients?
No, we have a lot of mix, because we have a lot of oil and gas that come through, and a lot of big organizations that are covered. NASA, we have a lot of NASA there. But so it's kind of a good mix. But then, and you can always just call your insurance and say, hey, do you cover weight loss? And they'll tell you directly which ones they do. So that way before you even come see me. If not, we can send in the prior authorization and do that. But no, there's a good mix, because then there's a lot of people who don't qualify either. So say you have insurance for it, but you don't meet the criteria or the BMI, but you have those last 10 pounds that are stubborn and you can't get off. That's fine. Like, we'll just do the compound. You get it off, maintain it, and you're good to go. So it's really nice to have that. I wish I had that after my first kid, because I really struggled. It was really hard. And it's different. You got all those hormones pumping.
What mix of percent of men you think are on that now, taking it, like, from what you do with a lot of men that are taking it?
I want to say it's 50-50, to be honest. Like, so many guys are doing it. Then we also check the hormones, and a lot of guys, all our T go down. So, we also have it where we can ship it to their house, and they can just self-inject, or the pellets. But yeah, we have that as well.
I had a lot of people. I had some friends that hit me up. They're like, man, what are you doing, you and Crystal? Because, and they thought I was on. I was like, hey, if I was on it.
He was on it.
I said, if I was on it, I'd tell you. I said, I'm not ashamed of it. If it did it and it worked for me, I would say it, because I'd rather be transparent and tell people versus saying, oh no, I do this, this, and this. But like, luckily I did this and it helped me out. Now, you know, I'm like 4 months in, but you know, we'll have to see. Everything's different. I did a nutritionist in 2021 or 22, like 8 months, and I wasn't eating enough. So she reverse macroed me up, and I was eating a bunch. I was eating, you know, I was 215 pounds, doing 220 grams of protein. I was doing like 190 grams of carbs a day, and like 60 fat. And so I was eating a lot of carbs. I was eating like I got up to like 3,200 calories a day, but I was losing a pound and a half a week just because I was fueling my body properly and eating right. Like I wasn't eating junk to hit those numbers. But when I started doing that, I tried about a year ago to do that again. I feel like the carbs really just bogged me down.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my body's changed to where like now when I try this without cutting out the simplex carbs, how much different I feel and how much quicker everything just kind of shed off me.
Yeah. You could tell a big difference in your face.
No, I mean, my face is like I could lose 5 pounds here and there, and it would be here first, and people like, me lost a bunch of weight, but it was just really just a bunch of inflammation and water weight in my face.
Yeah, people don't realize how much we consume and how inflammatory it is. So that's good. Yeah,
my joints feel better. I mean, there's a lot of things that feel better. I mean, so it's kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, just certain things I do, like as far as like CrossFit movement stuff, it's crazy how much lighter you feel.
Oh, easier. Yeah, I saw you doing toe touches today. Your toes to the bar. I'm like, I'm going to try that tomorrow. That looks so hard. But you did really well.
Thank you.
So you feel like that's easier prior?
Yeah, there's certain things that's just a lot easier. Like you feel lighter, and it's like, geez.
Well, just like running. Like I ran the other day at CrossFit, and with 10 pounds off me, man, I felt a lot better running. It's less on your knees and ankles and everything. So just that little bit, I was like, man, I felt better.
Good. Just Speedy Gonzalez. Take it off.
I mean, I'm not fast.
He ain't fast.
I'm not built. I mean, fast for me is pretty. Yeah, it's not real fast. But.
So I do cardio. My cardio is my squats. Increases the cardiac output. I'm good. I'm allergic to cardio.
So what's the biggest driver most people come in and see you for, to where you're like, when you're qualifying somebody, to where you're like, okay, hey, I think you'd be a good candidate for this. Like, what is the biggest thing? Like, I guess the biggest tail you see in a blood work or something, you're like, you're a good candidate from this kind of stuff.
Oh, from blood work? I mean, a lot of it's just they're scared because of their family history. A lot of people have died of stroke, heart attack, high cholesterol, and they just want to be healthier, which is great because it's like you're taking care of yourself for your kids, because that's the best thing. Like, especially like with COVID and everything that happened, it's just like you're nothing without your health.
Right.
So I'm glad that there's this huge movement for people to start eating better. We're seeing more options for like mocktails at, restaurants and smaller portions or healthier options. Thank God. Because it's like, we're just in a society that's completely backwards, and it's getting us all to become diabetic and high cholesterol, and it's just so bad on us. But I'd say that's the highest motivator, just trying to be healthy because they've seen what their family's gone through and just avoiding that. Or if they're, happen to be diabetic, they don't want to get there. Or they've had, lab results and they're pre-diabetic and that scared them.
Oh, I bet.
So.
Yeah, no, I could see that. How many people you have started and they're like, I feel like shit, I want to get off of it. You got to like talk people off the ledge early on just because,
or just say give it a couple weeks, or they
usually stick
to it.
I'm a talker, especially when I get into my nerd zone. I'm like, okay, you're going to fill this. This is great. Here's my number. Here's this. Here's that. I think I give so much patient education. They're already prepared because it's like, hey, worst case scenario, you feel terrible. Reevaluate. Did you eat greasy food? Did you have high sugar? Did you? And then I think that helps them. And that's the kind of the feedback that I've gotten, that they went to another place before. They didn't do well on it. They failed it and stopped at cold turkey, gained it all back, and then their neighbor saw me and said I went over all the patient education and gave them what they needed to go, and was never given Zofran, for instance.
Yeah,
so
because you do hear some people that get like terribly sick and they just have to like get off of it, and they say they're like, I have a friend, she's too scared to get back on it again. She was like, because she was just so sick.
Well, you just got to, like I said, but you got to look at the denominator. Like, what was it?
Yeah.
Were you doing the exact same thing you were doing before?
Yeah.
Then that's probably, you can't just, it's not a miracle drug where it just
No.
it cures it. That's like same way with people taking testosterone or steroids. Like it ain't a miracle drug.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna build muscle for you.
No.
You've got to put the work in. Same way with this. You got to eat right. You got to portion. You got to do the things, because if not, you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're going to be pissed off thinking that it don't work. But
yeah, correct. But you have to put your work into it. So I do have patients that, have been sick but reevaluating. They're like, well, yeah, I went to a barbecue and I ate A, B, and C. It's like, okay, that's going to make you sick like that every time.
Yeah.
And they've just forgotten. So it's just good to, touch base, and that's what the appointments are for. Keep them accountable. Did you work out? How many days a week are you working out? What's your protein grams? What has it been consistently? You ask them that question, they're like, okay, I will make sure I count. Yeah, exactly. And then they understand, okay, there's accountability.
It's accountability. Yeah,
this is why
you're responsible for what you put in your mouth.
Absolutely, yeah.
100%. So have you had anybody, like, of your patients, like were diabetic or pre-diabetic and reversed?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All of them. That A1C will come down. So that's really great to see, especially when they're pre-diabetic and they're already trending that way. That's terrifying to see. But yes, it does take care of all of that. And it's not going to make you diabetic, because I have had those questions. Oh, well, it's a diabetic medication. Is it going to mess with my blood sugar? Am I going to become diabetic? That's not how that works. It's just this, it's going to even everything out and just make you healthier altogether.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it will control that.
Yeah, I was curious to see how if you could flip somebody from that's been on.
I know there's different types of diabetics, but so like, what's the worst one? Is it 2 or something?
So type 2 is usually what we see.
Okay, that's the worst.
Because that's you're.
That's one taking
it's more
injections.
Diet. Well, no, because type 1, it's your body. It's attacking.
Okay.
Type 2 is you've just overworked your pancreas.
Okay.
You've just eaten poorly. It's just overworked.
So whenever you're pre-diabetic,
that's the ones you can control, because you've created that.
Correct.
Because there's some people born diabetic.
Type 1, you're going to be on insulin for the rest of your life. Your body just can't produce it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's just, you can't.
They get really sick.
Yeah, because those people, I know that they're high
skinny.
school, we're having ports, because it's just you're born with that.
Yep.
Oh.
Exactly. So type 2 is pretty scary. I mean, that was literally in our training. They went over that and some other diseases where I thought this disease was much worse, and comes to find out it's like diabetes is number 1 for everything. It's number 1 cause of blindness, number 1 cause for like stroke,
amputees.
Yeah, yes, amputee, everything. And it's just like, man, that is dangerous. So if you see that starting to trend up, just go down. And then also, if you're overweight and you have family history, get it down before that A1C even goes up.
Yeah, there's so many things out there now that you can combat a lot of things.
Yeah.
To be, like you said, you're in the preventative world. Mm-hmm. I mean, more so. I mean, for aging, and then for, weight gain. There's all kind of things. But I guess for anybody, you're never too late to get started. But you got to just, like I said, it's just the stigma of it, and
then you wonder, like,
embarrassment.
If this is like a fad thing because everybody's doing it,
Yeah. No, it's just it's a health thing.
Yeah, I know it's a health thing, but
you want to be healthier.
So much about this, like just like whenever COVID was around, you heard everything about like the vaccination shot on it. Now that's dissolved, and so now everybody doing this, but we're doing different types of weight loss. Okay, no Ozempic or semaglutide. Okay,
we're doing double receptors.
Yes, double receptors.
Which those are still good for people that need.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not a this or that kind of thing. Like I said, that's what was prescribed for you, that worked for you.
Right.
So it's not a down on people that take Ozempic, because some
No,
people get
not
prescribed
at all.
that for a reason.
For diabetes. And then Wegovy works well too. It's just you just don't know how someone's going to react or respond to it until they try it. So I like to be very honest with them, because I don't want to say, oh, you're going to do great, this is going to be fantastic for you, you're going to love it, and then they're super sick, super nauseous, and they're not losing anything. It's like I like them to be prepared, because I want to be honest with them. Mm-hmm.
So
and if we have to switch it,
what's the difference with Manjaro? What's the difference? What's that one?
That one's tirzepatide. That's the diabetic one.
That's the actual.
That's the brand for diabetes. Yep.
Okay.
And then Zepbound is the brand for weight loss.
Okay.
Yep. And then tirzepatide is just the generic, the active ingredient.
The compounds of
yep.
that.
Yep. And we have that one. So we just refer to it like by the brand if we're talking about the brand, and then just tirzepatide or TZ if it's not. But we were mentioning, what else can it help with? Like the cholesterol. We see the cholesterol go down. People's high blood pressure go down. So you can actually see it on the lab slip, which is pretty incredible because you want that objective finding. You want to see something.
So do the other medications help with all that you listed?
The Ozempic, Wegovy. Yeah, they can. They can. Yeah, so they'll bring down some of that as well. You can see that difference.
Do you judge your patients by their weight or by the BMI? Like, how do you judge that based on when they should be on their, or that's their call?
Oh, that's their call. I tell them don't focus on a BMI scale because who invented that?
I'm obese apparently to based on my height and size.
I hate that.
I was overweight for 5'2",
yeah. So I don't care for that because it's like with my husband being in the military in the past, he was always overweight. So then they'd have to go in because you guys know him. He's jacked. Yeah. They'd have to tape him, so they'd have to measure, and they always go over the waist circumference because that's an indicator, you know. But I always tell them, don't worry about that. When it's a prescription and it's for the insurance, we have to get the BMI, and we take a look at that. But it's however comfortable you are, because I have so many patients. It's like, you know, their goal weight is, 160 or so. They're like, this is where I'm happy. I'm like, great. And they'll ask me, well, where should I be? I'm like, absolutely not. Don't ask me. Yeah. It is up to you. If that's your happy weight, then that's great because we change as we get older too.
Right.
So I don't want to be 100 pounds.
Right.
Yeah. Like I would look sickly, you know?
Do you ever have those patients that, like I said, body dysmorphia is a big thing.
Yes.
That lose the weight and they're going to keep losing more. And you got to have a tough conversation with them. They're like, hey.
Yes. And that's part of the screening. Like I ask, have you ever been diagnosed with any issues? Of course they can lie and I wouldn't know.
Right.
And then we're going over the weight and they're telling me honestly, hey, I've just got these 10 pounds. Okay, that sounds reasonable. If it doesn't sound reasonable, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't recommend this medication for you. But then I would just tell them no. But no, everyone's been very good with it. It's been very healthy and just uplifting. And we get a lot of patients that, later in life, they just can't lose the weight anymore. Yeah. You're doing all the right things. And those are the best patients because you have the motivation, the drive. You're already eating well. You're just not seeing the results. And again, it's genetic.
Yeah,
you just never know.
In your age.
Yeah. And all this plastic we have. Everything. I went to the grocery store one day and I'm like, the cereal's in plastic, the milk's in plastic. I was just like, I was like, God. So it's like we're swimming upstream.
Yeah.
We're doing the best we can with what we have. So there's no shame in getting help. Like you have high blood pressure. You going to take something for that? Yes.
Yes.
So you have issues and you can't get that weight down or that inflammation out. Just get on this medication. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you got high blood pressure, take blood pressure medicine. Nobody's going to blink an eye if you take for taking it to get it down.
Yeah, so exactly.
It shouldn't be that. People just, I think a lot of people just like to be haters.
Yes.
But a lot of people just like to be like, oh, well, whatever. It
back in the day
bugs me, but
before all the shots came around, everybody did Slim Fast. Oh
yeah.
It was Slim Fast. They were drinking shakes and losing weight.
Well, they did that. What was that Weight Watchers?
Weight Watchers.
Weight Watchers.
That was a big one back in the day.
That's a big one too. Mm-hmm. So it's all kind of like the same.
As always. But then I hate when people are like, oh, what diet do I have to be on? Diets are meant for you to stop. It's not long term. It's like, no, this is a whole lifestyle change. You're going to start eating protein. You're going to start working out, lifting weights, building muscle for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. Because diet is a short-term thing.
Right.
So that's one thing that's, in patient education, you're not going to be on a diet. Mm-hmm. That's how you're going to eat. And then now we have great things like Pinterest. I'm like, high protein. That's when Jax is cooking dinner. What do you want for dinner? Find a high protein thing and send it off to him, And then it's great because he's very good at hitting his protein goals and now he's obsessed with cooking and stuff. So we know what we're getting, and he has a little scale. He's measuring everything.
Yeah, when I had a nutritionist, I weighed everything. Chris was like, I can't believe you do that. I'm like, well, I'm weighing everything until I learn how to I get an idea.
Look at it, see how many ounces,
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's good because sometimes you don't know, like you don't have that insight. Oh, I'm hitting all my protein grams until you actually count and you're like, oh, this is why I feel weak. Because I was guilty of that. I wasn't eating enough protein. And I was like, you always feel so weak and you get lightheaded. And I'm like, okay, I need to drink more water, need more protein. And I can't tell people to do all this if I'm not going to do it. So I do everything I tell the patients to do. I work out, build muscle, gotten a little obsessed lately. But I'm like, it feels good because it gives you energy. It helps with your mood. Mental health-wise, working out is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And you feel good, especially after having kids,
Magnus asked if I could still take steroids if I took the injections.
Yes.
I don't take steroids anymore, dude.
Testosterone only.
I'm a change man. Oh
antibiotic.
yeah, abuse. It's been a long time. But talk about the compound stuff back in the day when I did do.
No, he did steroids. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like.
You mixed it.
Well, no. But I like the post psychotherapy stuff, like the Clomid and everything.
Oh yeah.
I would get from these like research companies, and then you'd mix your own stuff.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You had to mix it yourself.
Yeah. It was like, this is not intended for human. Like that's the website, the way they say it. But
yeah. It's. You never know what you're gonna, what reaction.
It's funny how people don't like. I mean, I know women can be on testosterone, the same thing, but like men, it's like people don't give people shit for being on testosterone. Like some people, it causes them to lose weight, feel better. So, like, what's wrong with us getting on this and making us feel?
That's just the society we live in. There's double standards that are never going to go away. That's just what it is.
True.
I mean, it's just part of it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
So one, we'll share all your Instagram and stuff like that. People can find you. The good thing is, like I said, I know you had a busy day. Probably that first day was just like, I mean, it was. Yeah. I would go check it. I'm like, holy shit, there's more. And I see your.
I was like, dang.
I see you answering questions. See you answering questions
in between patients.
And then, we'll share your Instagram. But like, so what's your website? I need to mention your website.
So my website, it's just www.angelicajackson.com. Spelled like Angelica, but just pronounced in Spanish. And then my Instagram is the same. It's Angelica Jackson _PAC. And then if you want to book an appointment, you can just go to my Instagram or the website, click book now, and then you're just going to scroll down. You'll see some of my coworkers, and it has their picture and then their times. Scroll all the way down because they keep booking with the wrong person. You're going to see my picture, and then all of my bookings are underneath me. And then you can see what date, time. You can do telehealth in person. Even if you we have lots of patients in Austin, Dallas. If you're far away, that's fine. You haven't had labs, we can send to any LabCorp. It's super easy. We get the results, and we can go over that with you. But it's just like being in person. It's just, a little link you put on your phone.
That's a good thing about you having telehealth, because like I said, obviously we have a lot of followers from not from the Houston area. But people want to talk or deal with somebody that she's been dealing with, that she's trusted, and you're friends of ours, and they've heard you on the other podcasts and on ours now. To where like the biggest thing I'll tell anybody for your doctor, make sure you're asking questions, but like make sure you're getting information, and you're not getting your information online. Like you really need to talk to somebody and have them look at your numbers and levels, because like I said, the blood work, you can't lie.
No. And so that's where it's, even if you're seeing, I had some people, they reached out and they're like, hey, I'm on this medication. I'm not really losing. What's the one she's on? And so I told her, just ask for this medication, and they don't offer it. Okay, then search your area for tirzepatide. Or I'll tell them about the injection site. And it's like, hey, I'm not getting all these reactions, or I'm getting nauseous. Are you eating your protein grams? Are you injecting to your stomach? They're like, yeah, I'm injecting to my stomach. All right, try your arm and see. Because that's fine. I'm like, just little tips and tricks, inject it on a full stomach after dinner, and then making sure they know, like, you're going to get your symptoms day 1 or day 2 after. If you're feeling nauseous, reach out to your provider, have them send you in some Zofran. It's temporary. It's very transient. It's going to go away. But just have it. And if you need it, use it just until you get it past it.
So what all do y'all provide at Atlas Premier?
Kind of everything, all anti-aging. So we do the weight loss, we do hormone replacement, we do the TRT, so injectable and pellets. I do all the aesthetic, of course. I'm a national trainer for RHA, Daxify, Revance. So I do travel a lot throughout the nation and train on all my advanced techniques like the cannula. Daxify is fantastic because it can last up to 6 months or 5. It's really beautiful, and it has the peptides in it. And then we do the Kybella. It's just all anti-aging, basically. And then we have
it all, and they're awesome.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
Thank you. We have the M-Sculpt machine, so that's fun. That can be hooked up to anywhere in your body, and it's equivalent to 20,000 sit-ups if you put on your abdomen in 30 minutes. It's great. It's really fun. The butt, I've been trying to work my butt that way and be lazy. I still work out, but it's just you add it onto it to build your glutes, because they're hard to build up.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not going to be in the gym for 3 hours like my husband. So you can hook it up to your arms, your legs, everything. We also have, like sexual health. as well. We have the Emcella chair that's equivalent to like 20,000 Kegels in 30 minutes. But then, it's part of like the hormone replacement. Are you having low libido? Do we need to send you in a prescription, for tadalafil? Or for the females, we have a bunch of different peptides too, like a nasal spray that helps arousal. And it's just a peptide. We have different creams, different stuff that you can use.
Yeah, tell about the Scream Cream.
Yeah, the Scream Cream. Yeah, I think everyone needs to try it. It's just topical, and it really increases your arousal, orgasm, sensation, everything. So if you want to make an appointment just for that, you can telehealth, and we'll ship it to your house. Very discreet. Magnus, I'll order it for you. Yep. And so we have Scream Cream for the females, and then we have Trimix, the injection into the penis for the men.
I know we talked about that before on the podcast.
Yeah, some guys are like, ugh, cringe, we're not doing that. And then I have guys, okay, what's this stuff? Do you have this? Like, we were talking about this on a whatever, hunting trip and everything. I was like, oh, yeah. So then we'll go over that. So that just helps with, like ED, erection, quality, orgasm. You can't, maintain or withhold. So it's nice to encompass everything, because you don't want to just stay in one little box and this is it. If you got all those issues, we can, then... and if you're having hot flashes, we have a lot of those supplements like Femerin that's really natural, and you can just try that before jumping to estrogen. In some patients, we have a lot of patients who have had cancer. They're not a candidate for certain things. So we have a lot of natural options for them too. But yeah, pretty much everything. The exosomes. Oh, and we have stem cells too. So
really?
Yeah, everything. It's really fun. I basically spend my whole paycheck at work.
I need to get some
here's my supplements.
I need some stem cells in my knees, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do.
My knees suck. I was like...
They really do help. Well, you can even just IV push throughout your whole body.
Really?
Yes.
I need to talk to you about that offline.
There's some really cool studies. There was one that we had the rep in, and they were going over cardiac tissue, and they had a biopsy prior to the stem cell IV and then post, and it had healed.
Really?
It's really fascinating. But I like that regenerative medicine, because I don't want to put chemicals in my body. I want my body to be able to heal itself. And if you give it what it needs, good vitamins, supplements, you can. And you can feel your best, I just don't like being dependent on, well, here's the medication for that. Here's the medication for that,
Yep, that's good. That's very informative. So it's good. I wanted to get you in quick because of just on the height of, like, on the back end of her posting.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Get the more information out there. More people can find you. And like I said, they've seen you. I mean, if anybody watched our other podcast, they've seen you on our other one a couple of times. So it's been fun. We appreciate you, Angelica, coming in, and
thanks for having me.
Helping out with Kiki's body and mind.
Yeah.
Let's go out for some chips and salsa.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right. Well, that's a wrap.
All right.